one again next week.
Yeah, they hit the road to Arkansas next week. Oklahoma hosts LSU. All right, third straight win for the Sooners in a game they've been outgained and once almost doubled up. Fourth game this season where they did not allow a touchdown. It's the defense that carries the day again for OU.
It is. It's Brent Venables' defense. And you think about this game, coming into the game, you knew it was going to be strength on strength. You knew it was going to be Missouri's rushing offense, number one rushing offense in the SEC. Ahmad Hardy, Jamal Roberts. You knew the defense for Oklahoma, the number one rushing defense. And the first two drives, Missouri was able to move the football. They averaged 6 yards a carry in the first two drives. But after that, throughout the game, only averaged a little over 1 yard a carry. That defense for Oklahoma tightened down. And CD, it was the tackling. Didn't allow the running backs to get yards after the catch that they had before. 29 yards after the rush, from the first two drives, only 16 after that. And so the turnovers, again, whenever the recipe it seems to be for Oklahoma is play good special teams. They get the blocked field goal. They stop them there, tackle well, get tackles for loss, and then generate turnovers. You mentioned it, 8 turnovers over the last 3 weeks, and they've had a couple pick sixes in some of these big games. That is the recipe for Oklahoma to win football games when their offense isn't really producing them.
Yeah, complementary football. The offense isn't producing, but the defense is doing a great job of holding teams to low scores, and the special teams setting them up for opportunities where they have some short field. Dari, I go back to the injury to Mateer. I just wonder how much the thumb is affecting his ability to throw the ball down the field. If you go back to the pre-injury games, he's averaging about 56% on throws 15 yards down the field. Since that time, it's half of that. It's 22%. So I know some of it, Dari, is on the receivers and guys not separating as much, but I wonder how much that thumb is affecting him now.
I also want to remind you, though, that's Temple, that's Illinois State. It's also Michigan, but yes.
Aesthetically, it doesn't look the same way. You know, you're not hitting, the ball is not, the ball placement, some of the choices are not the same as what it was before. But the great part about it, I look at it as a glass half full. Yep. You're winning big-time ball games in big-time situations, a couple on the road. Your defense is playing great. Special teams is outstanding. If you can get the offense going, the next level for this offense, the ceiling's really high.
And you think about it, in critical moments, Mateer is still making good decisions. When he came back and he played in that Texas game, he made some poor decisions, made some poor throws, and a lot of it was he hadn't played. But you look at this game, when they throw that pass to Satania and he goes for 80 yards, that was cover one. It was man coverage. He knew exactly what he had. They had the angle route. Satania catches the ball and he runs, but Mateer understood what he needed to do in that specific time and got the ball to a playmaker that can make a play. And so while he may not be hitting some of these deep passes like you talked about, he's continuing to make good decisions for this offense.
They just don't have that outside threat. Their two best receivers are both slot guys. They're dangerous when they get the ball and grab the yak yards, but
great part is everybody's flawed. Everybody in college football is flawed.
Exactly.
This is their flaw.
Exactly.
I'll take the defense.
Yep, and here they are, a win away from the college football playoff with LSU next week. How about Vanderbilt? That's a team, they're sitting there with a chance to get to 10-2.
I don't really cry, and
He's the best player in the country. He deserves to be in the Heisman conversation. He tips the field when he steps on it. There's only a few players in the world that, when the ball's in their hand, they can take over a game. He's done that repeatedly here. He deserves this, my God. And this is a guy that has been doubted every way you can be doubted and, counted out. And all he's done is bet on himself. He's taken risks. He's leaned into trust. He's shown up and done the work, and I hope everyone's paying attention. I know my children are. This guy is one of one, and he's a great role model and a great team member, and we are grateful for what he's done for us.
Pavia is on some tear. Last 3 games, he's accounted for over 1,400 yards of offense and 14 touchdowns and became the first player in school history to pass for 300 and run for 100 in a game. That was against Auburn 2 weeks ago, and again against Kentucky sets the single-game school passing record. He's got a school record 34 total passing and running touchdowns. Absolutely should have a seat at that Heisman table.
Yeah, well, what occurred to me as I was watching that highlight, when he runs the option to the right, he looked quick and explosive, getting to the edge. And you know what they did differently this year? I go back to the beginning of the season. They managed his carries earlier in the year. Remember last year, in the last half of the year, he was banged up. He couldn't be Diego Pavia the way he's being Diego Pavia now. So I like the plan that they had for him, the way they utilized him throwing the football more from the pocket early in the season. That's kept him fresher and limited some of the hits down the stretch.
Yeah, you also think about the emergence of guys like Trey Richardson. He goes over 100. Guys like Junior Sherrill. And the accuracy of Diego Pavia is drastically increased this year from last year, especially on the deep ball. He's making great decisions. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch a story, a personality, the momentum. You saw the statistics, but when you think about what he's done over the last 3 weeks, the fact that he goes for 300 against Texas, he goes for 300 against Alabama, Auburn, he goes for 406 touchdowns today in key moments in the SEC. It's all about momentum. Yeah. And when you think about the crescendo ending the season, and you think about postseason awards, you think about the Heisman, all those sorts of things. It's about personalities, it's about stories, and it's about momentum, and it's about moments. And that's what we continue to see, especially today, from Diego Pavia, and quite frankly, this entire team. He doesn't do it all by himself. He's the point guard, but the entire team is playing so that he can have the opportunity to go and represent Vanderbilt and the SEC in New York.
Yeah, the visibility that Diego Pavia has certainly is going to be on display next week against Tennessee, potentially in New York with the Heisman Trophy. And I know he'll be leaving. They celebrated him today as a senior, but it's going to live on because it's shown what's possible in this new landscape of college football with NIL and the opportunity to go in the portal. Like, people are going to want to be a part of what Vanderbilt's got going now. I've always said Nashville's a great sports town. If you put a product on the field, people are going to show up. They did it for the Preds. They did it for the Titans. And now they're doing it for Vanderbilt because you have a personality. You have a stadium. You have some excitement around it. And even though he's going to be gone, I think they can keep this momentum going, especially if they can get into the playoff and he's in New York in a couple weeks.
Look, you go watch them. They're set. You're going to see them win. They're 7-0 at home. That's what they finished. First time they run the table.
A legit home field advantage.
First time they run the table at home since 1982. And if they get into the playoff, you said something earlier, B-Dub, like, who's going to want to deal with him if they're able to get in? Who
wants to play him? I mean, the amount of confidence that the entire team plays with, much less trying to guard these wide receivers and backs in the defense the way they're playing, like nobody wants to play them.
So fun to watch him play. And he will be in New York. He's got to be in New York.
Hopefully we'll see him on the 19th and 20th.
Playoff, yes, indeed. Need a little help still, but we'll see. If they go out and blow the doors off Tennessee, and they might, and hold Samford to 0 for 14 on third down, they allow 77 yards of offense, the fewest allowed in a game by the Aggies since 1996. That might have been the Wrecking Crew days. Might have been after the Wrecking Crew days. All right, let's look ahead. Texas A&M at Texas. A&M is fine. They can lose the game. They're still in the playoff. They're obviously trying to get to Atlanta, too. What kind of game are we looking at in Austin?
I mean, I honestly believe now we're starting to see the Arch Manning that everybody was expecting to see back at the beginning of the season. Unrealistic expectations for a guy that was taking over as a first-year starter, but you're starting to see the offensive line block better for him, throwing the football down the field the last couple weeks. You have so many receivers that are starting to make explosive plays. This is going to be a tough task for A&M. And you mentioned they're in, but I know they want that 12-0 mark, something we didn't think was possible this year with the SEC as deep as it is. So this is going to be an outstanding game there in Austin.
You know exactly what Texas A&M is thinking right now. Number one, can you handle the pressure, obviously, of going undefeated? But it's going to be about physicality. They're going to come into Austin and try to bully and push around Texas because when Arch Manning gets pressured, they struggle. If Texas A&M can get in there and their defensive line can go against Texas' offensive line, I'm going to be watching the trenches because that's been the recipe for impacting Texas is when you play a physical brand of football against them. We saw it last week when Texas played Georgia. A physical brand of football is difficult for this Texas team. And so this game, a lot of storylines here. I love the fact that Texas A&M is going to try to go undefeated. The question is, can they handle the pressure of doing so?
I think the defense today, you look at the amount of yards, over 500 yards that they gave up, but a lot of empty yards. They were able to get some red zone stops. They forced 3 field goals down in that part of the field, and you got a couple takeaways as well. But clearly, I agree with you on the physicality side of things. But Texas can play physical defense. They got a score today on the scoop and score as well.
Yep.
So I love the matchups within the matchup next week.
And then you look at the psyche, right? Texas is 8-3. They were preseason number 1, right? Considered a disappointing season, but what a way to end the race.